Good evening, good evening, good evening. Friendly neighborhood reminder that if you missed any previous parts of this, they are available on YouTube. You can click the link in the bio. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, welcome. Also keep in mind that you do not have the book to follow. You do not have to have the book to follow along. And we're reading this together in real time. We will be beginning today on page 178. September 19th, 47 days to the election. If there was one event that best captured the diversity of the coalition that had come together to support me, it was the Unite for America Town Hall hosted by Oprah Winfrey in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Before the town hall, I met with two families who would speak at the event. 15-year-old Natalie Griffith had been shot twice at Appalachian High School. She was still wearing bandages on her arm and shoulder. Amber Thurman, 28, died of septic shock after doctors delayed her care for 20 hours because of Georgia's abortion ban. Her mother and sister had come to tell her story. I had been scheduled to have 15 minutes with each family. That may not be a lot of time in a presidential candidate's schedule, but it is far from enough time for the conversations these families deserved. I needed to hear their stories in their own words, to look at Amber's funeral service program, absorbing the pain and trauma they had endured. Was there any way I could help to get them access to the resources they still needed? I didn't want them to feel that they were just case studies to be wheeled on stage to make a political point. They were showing tremendous courage in to be wheeled on stage to make a political point. They were showing tremendous courage in sharing. Selflessly trying to help others. It was painful and draining to learn what they'd been through, and I was determined to take as much time as I could, even if it messed with the schedule. Well, your schedule has been off schedule this whole campaign, so this is an appropriate time to be off schedule. Oprah was running this town hall, and the mood in the auditorium was high-spirited. As I waited in the wings, listening to the Queen of Charisma excite the crowd, I took a moment to recenter myself. There were just 400 people in the hall, but more than 200,000 on the Zoom screens that rose in tiers like stadium seating on the walls on either side of us. There were some famous faces on those screens, supporters such as Meryl Streep, Ben Stiller, Jennifer Lopez, and Chris Rock, who joked he'd been a longtime fan of mine. I remember writing her a check when she was like the district attorney for something. Maybe it was to get out of a parking ticket. Now he said he wanted to bring his daughters to the White House to meet this black woman president. But the power of the event wasn't so much the celebrities as the hundreds of thousands of other faces not well known from every possible demographic that could vote. In the front row was the driving force behind it, Jataka Edie. She had been sitting on her parents' porch in South Carolina when she got a text saying that Joe Biden had dropped out and endorsed me. Not 3 hours later, she'd rallied 44,000 black women to support me on a call that broke Zoom, which couldn't handle any more participants. The night raised $1.5 million. She organized her group, Win with Black Women, in 2020 because of anger over how the black women candidates in the running to be Biden's VP were being portrayed in the media. All the familiar tropes, the Jezebel who'd slept her way to the top, the Sapphire who emasculated and disparaged black men, had been dusted off to smear us. And Jataka, an activist and founder of a successful Silicon Valley consultancy, decided to mobilize black women to fight back and rally behind black women candidates. And this should give you an idea why so many people are so distressed. They're trying to portray it as anger and desperation, but they are distressed that black women aren't helping right now. Because when we move mountains. After that first Zoom call, others contacted Jataka to ask how to do the same thing. From her mentoring came Win with Black Men, White Dudes for Harris, White Women, Answer the Call, Comics for Kamala, Deadheads for Kamala, Cat Ladies for Kamala. You know, the one that Taylor Swift tried to pretend she was a part of without saying she was a part of. Wink, wink. Cooking for Kamala, Swifties for Kamala. Told you. Jewish women for Kamala Harris, caregivers for Harris, Republicans for Harris. I remember the stink that one made. And dozens more. I look around at these screens. I look at who's in the room. And this is America, I said. This movement is about reminding each other that we have so much more in common than what separates us. Seeing in the face of a stranger, a neighbor. You're going to want to push back on what I'm saying, but take a moment to really mull over what I'm saying. How about we stop bonding over commonalities and bonding and learning from our differences? Once again, when we embody the marketing of the United States, we will be better. We cannot market ourselves as this melting pot of cultures when we're constantly looking for what is the same with us, because it perpetuates ignoring the differences and allowing people to skip over when needed points of views are shared. Hey, Vix. Just a thought. But like I said, you're going to want to push back on that because you're always taught to look for similarities and go sit next to somebody similar to you. But no. How boring of an existence if you're only around people who are going to be agreeable with you because you're going to keep yourselves in an echo chamber. Doesn't matter if you're left, right, center, or teetering back and forth between. What causes people to push back on the sharing of lived experience is the constant quest of what makes us similar, because that keeps me comfortable. Exactly, we might as well stand in front of a mirror. September 23rd, 43 days to the election. There are red lines and there are shades of gray. Many of our national security relationships exist in complicated tones. Very few are black and white. We pursue common interest in some areas while managing major conflicting views in others. Where it is possible without compromising our principles, we strive for constructive engagement. In September, as international heads of state converged on New York City for the UN General Assembly, I would generally schedule back-to-back meetings with world leaders, seizing the opportunity to renew ties and to talk frankly face-to-face. But in the midst of the campaign, I couldn't do that. I scheduled just one meeting with President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, or MBZ as he is known, ruler of the United Arab Emirates. The UAE is a key player in its roiling region. We have numerous economic and military ties, as well as areas of disagreement. In May 2022, I led the U.S. delegation, which included Tony Blinken, to the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi, to pay respects to the late ruler Sheikh Khalifa and to meet with his successor. It was a 20-hour flight for 3 hours on the ground, which testifies to the significance the United States places on this relationship, or what it used to place on that relationship. Geopolitical relationships nowadays mean about as much as sewage in the street. You know. I had met with MBZ since then at the UN Climate Conference in Dubai. This time, I would welcome him to my West Wing office, the first visit to the White House by a sitting UAE president. MBZ realizes the importance of the relationship and works on it. He also understands his power and is no supplicant. He was born knowing he would very likely rule, and he now knows he will likely rule until he dies. In that time, he is undoubtedly aware that he will cycle through many elected leaders in the United States, just like his father and his brother who preceded him as leaders. And that's another thing that a POTUS or potential POTUS must keep in mind in the United States. Other nations don't have elections, and don't have elections at the frequency that we have. Think about how many presidents Queen Elizabeth could compare. In meetings like this, it is important to understand how the relationship has waxed and waned. I was aware that MBZ was not pleased when the Obama administration negotiated secretly with Iran in the neighboring... Dude, it's just rain hitting the door. You're fine. You're fine. It's just rain hitting the door. It's nobody knocking on the door. You'll be fine. Let's see. Was not pleased when the Obama administration negotiated secretly with Iran in the neighboring state. Are you done? Are you done? Thank you. In the neighboring state. Okay, now you're just being an asshole. In the neighboring state of Oman without informing him. I was also aware that despite the outward congeniality during Trump's first term, there had been concerns about the shallowness of Trump's grasp of the region's history and complexity. I think they're well aware of the stupidity of Trump. When you're dealing with royal families and things like that, you would be, or maybe not, amazed at the amount of research they do on anyone they're going to be engaging with, whether in politics, in business, in anything. They know that he's a bumbling idiot. Their reservations were because of his criminality, his con man legacy, if you will. It precedes him. He will shake your hand with his right hand and with his left try to shave off anything of value from any place that he meets you at. The UAE is a major purchaser of advanced American weapons and, largely thanks to MBZ, has one of the most effective militaries in the region. He was 29 years old when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and he shared his father's determination that such a thing would never happen to the UAE. The emeritus now has compulsory military service and highly trained special forces. And that's another thing that the United States needs to remember. We always talk about we have the biggest and baddest military. No, we pump a lot of money into our military. We do. But we're not the only one with a big bad military. And there are people who they're not in the military because they want an ego boost, or because their country has made sure that the military may be their only way of getting an education or getting out of poverty. That they are there basically in protest. These are not militaries based upon being disrespected in and out of the military based upon your gender, sexual orientation, or the skin that you're encased in. So these are people that are willing to fight for their country, that want to fight for their country, as opposed to having to fight for their country, being tricked into fighting for their country, historically speaking. In many ways, he is a visionary, encouraging an outward-looking, culture tolerant of non-Islamic religions, investing in education, supporting women's participation in the workforce and the military. He has streamlined his state's bureaucracy and diversified the economy away from oil, determined to make it a leader in artificial intelligence. And I'm glad she brought up these things, because the United States tries to use other nations that are not Christian, that don't have a Christian majority, as the boogeyman for other people. The United States demonizes and villainizes other nations because they know if you know that it's better over there, you'll leave. We're in an abusive relationship, y'all. Because just like if we save up or whatever, and you can get on the internet and apply for a job anywhere, just like we can go there, people can come here. If we were so great, why aren't we getting wealthy people coming over here to stay? Not to vacation. Not just for education and then to leave. Not for an internship and then to leave. The ones that come here in droves are the poor, because we have disrupted their countries. We are the boogeyman. We are the stifling presence. He has also created a surveillance state with zero tolerance for any hint of radical Islamism. Which he sees as an existential threat. He has imprisoned his critics and stoked fighting in Yemen, Sudan, and Libya with dire humanitarian consequences. I have found him thoughtful, shrewd, and whether his priorities are aligned or in conflict with ours, I believe he is driven by conviction. He sees Hamas as an example of the radical Islamic movements that pose a threat to the stability of the Gulf regimes. He understands Israel's desire to crush it. But is everyone in Hamas Islamic? No. No. And that's another boogeyman tactic that far too many people use. Far too many people use. Because they use certain religions interchangeably with races and religions. They make it seem like in certain parts of the world, Islam is the big bad wolf and everybody is Islam that's the big bad wolf. No. Over in Palestine, Hamas was created because of the tyranny of Israel. And there are Christian Palestinians, Islamic Palestinians, Jewish Palestinians, you name it. The United States is not the only place where you can practice other religions, but the United States is very tyrannical in its pseudo-Christianity and its fervent attempts to stifle everyone else's religious beliefs and practices, while telling you it's the man over there that's doing it. But he also wants to end the Gaza war and innocent civilian suffering, and he wants to see a path toward a Palestinian state. Emirati investment will be critical in rebuilding Gaza, but he has made it clear that there will be no funding until there is a Palestinian state on the horizon. The thaw in his country's relations with Israel would not continue while the humanitarian catastrophe continued to unfold. When it comes to Palestine, I need people to stop pretending to care and stop pretending to help. How are you going to say, oh, we'll give you funding and backing after you figure out how to get out of this genocide and rebuild? With what funding? That's like your house burning down, and I go, oh, well, I'll help you. Once you clean up the rubble, rebuild, furnish it, and make a bomb-ass Sunday dinner, then yeah, I'll be right in to help you on a week-to-week basis for the rebuilding. Sudan, meanwhile, has taken the UAE to the International Court of Justice, claiming the UAE has sent advanced weapons to the Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary group accused of raping and slaughtering civilians. Our UN ambassador, Linda Thomas Greenfield, that bitch. I have a little breakdown on her on YouTube, if you want to check that out. Had witnessed firsthand the civilian catastrophe it caused and called on the UAE to support peace talks. But you couldn't properly vote when it came to Israel and Palestine? Okay. With my national security advisor, Phil Gordon, beside me, we discussed these two conflicts and what steps MBZ might be willing to take to de-escalate in Sudan and support humanitarian relief in Gaza. In both conflicts, I stressed that our priority was to get the warring parties to the table and allow unfettered humanitarian access. MBZ had brought his brother, Sheikh Talnoon, who is leading the UAE's AI superpower campaign and is responsible for billions in investment. He has lived and breathed AI since discovering Google's AI chess program in 2017. I expressed my concern that AI should be cultivated and used in the public interest, and that we need to establish international rules and norms for that. The Sheikh's first priority was investing in innovation and securing the UAE's primacy as the tech leader in the Gulf. He was, at least, receptive to the conversation. No, he wasn't, and I'm getting a real headache at the fact that you don't know how to the conversation. No, he wasn't, and I'm getting a real headache at the fact that you don't know how to read. Sorry about that. I don't know why everybody wants to call tonight. But yeah, I'm not really trusting her ability to read the room. And she wants to run again in the next presidential cycle. I hope you learned from this. September 24th, 42 days to the election. It was a conversation of a very different kind the next day with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, two retired NBA stars. Matt Barnes, out of all the people to talk to, Matt Barnes. Okay, all right. We finding it. We gonna see how this goes or how it went. Stephen and Matt reached a large audience of sports fans with their outspoken takes on issues on and off the basketball court in their podcast, All the Smoke. They're not known. Matt is not known for making the best decisions. Like, their audience it's not really filled with all the best decision makers. Great excuse makers. It's not a place you expect to find politicians, which is why I was eager to go there. You have to go where the voters are. You can't expect them to come to you. And can we normalize no longer saying this shit? You would expect a politician to be there. Where there are people, I should expect you there. Politics affects every aspect of life. Why are you avoiding where the common person is going to be? We sat down in front of the fireplace at the vice president's residence and got to reminiscing about the season they'd spent together playing ball for my favorite team, the Golden State Warriors. It was the We Believe season of 2006 to 2007. I was San Francisco DA and I was stuck in traffic on the way to the stadium. Thinking I was going to miss the game, I jumped from the car, causing consternation to my protection detail, and jumped on BART along with people from all around the Bay Area from every walk of life. You're girl, you ain't Beyonce. You's gonna be all right. You wasn't the VP yet. And can we also stop curating things so much? People complain about influencer culture. Where do you think they learned it from? We went from, reality TV culture to influencer culture. Where do you think they learned it from? These politicians that want to curate the perfect. The average person, especially the average sports fan, isn't chilling next to the fireplace with a spot of tea or a touch of brandy to discuss games gone past and a few current events. No. No, if you wanted it to be Holmesy, just sit in the living room on the couch. Somebody in a lazy boy. Sit around the kitchen table. Okay? Look like some regular folk. Throw on your favorite t-shirt. If that's your team, pull out some of your sports merch. And shoot the shit. And we, as the voting public, need to start demanding this of them. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being manipulated. I'm tired of all these curated talking points and curated interviews. And then when we're like, oh, this is the right one, we vote them in, and then we're stuck with another Fetterman. Everybody keeps saying, I'm the common man. I'm just like you. We're all in this together. But every time we see you, you look boardroom ready. Like you're about to go have tea with Chuck the Cuck over in England. You're telling us about how you let your hair down, but we never see it. You're telling us how you're so knowledgeable about all these common folk things, but we're not seeing it. Like you're so excited to tell us you jumped on a damn bus. Once again, you're not showing good leadership skills. You had a security detail and you couldn't get through traffic. You keep irritating me the further we go into this book. Stephen, or Stack, as he is known, had a tough start in Port Arthur, Texas, where his older brother died of head injuries after a beating. Stack had carried a weight from that tragedy, always wishing he'd been by his brother's side to defend him in that fatal fight. Can y'all stop doing that stuff? Stop having these hero fantasies. Okay, what makes you think that y'all wouldn't have just died together? And I'm not being cruel, but I need y'all to say, I could have saved him. Could you have? And normalize teaching your friends and families that you care about how to pick and choose battles. When to shut all the way up. Like y'all carrying grief and resentment and giving yourself mental health issues. Because in your head, you were going to be the hero. It is not easy, specifically for head trauma, for a person in a fight to inflict that serious of a head trauma onto somebody else. And you think that you was going to, that man was fighting Donkey Kong. Like I said, I'm not saying this out of malice. I went through this myself after my mother passed away. And I realized, hold up, wait a minute. We was both supposed to be dead? I don't think so. I went through that. Oh, I wish it was me. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Maturing is looking at our situations honestly. We can be sad. We can mourn. But stop. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I was there, I could have saved it. No, you can't. You're not Mighty Mouse. Okay? You were born on Earth, not Krypton. You are not Martian Manhunter. Okay? Your limbs will not regenerate like Deadpool. And a good chunk of society can't fight. Y'all ain't never had a fight in your life. If I was there, it wouldn't have happened. Pretty sure it would have happened quicker because you don't control your temper like you should. I recognized that protective impulse. It was so like the one that had always motivated me. For Stack, it was what made him a fantastic teammate, but it also got him into trouble as a young player for Indiana when he leapt into the stands to back up another player in what turned into an ugly brawl with fans. Yeah, because he sees in everybody his brother and he needs to live that out. Also, sweetie pop, pop, pop. Kamala, love you, girl. You're getting on my nerves, but I still love you. You're not the protector. Your little sister is. She is for the shits. All day, every day. Your little sister is the no limit soldier. Okay? Okay. You are the princess that she guards. You too worried about what people think, how they gonna look at you, all this other stuff. Your sister is like, shit, I got the credentials. I will defend myself and get myself off. What you want? Your sister looking like, what you got on my books? I ain't gonna be in there but the weekend. Like, you're not that guy. You're not that guy, Kamala. You're not that guy. I love you down, but you're not that guy. Yeah, half of this country does not have stamina. Let's not forget that ICE lowered the standards. And still hasn't been able to hire new people. WikiLeaks Hegseth has been dwindling down the list of who needs to be put out of the military. And we were already at a recruiting crisis. The police keep getting pass after pass after pass for their physicality because like there are whole social media platforms dedicated to showing how out of shape our police force is. Police force folks are always talking about, well, what if something happens? Who you gonna call? Not Barney Fife and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I can guarantee you that shit. Everybody want to call everybody unhealthy and obese until it comes to the cops. I don't need Paul Blart. I'm good. Don Nelson, then the Warriors coach, had been the one who embraced him after that mess, without judgment, and helped him realize his potential. Right from the start, our conversation was intimate and heartfelt, picking up shared threads of our experiences. We talked about things we had in common, like being step-parents and our mutual concerns about mental health and childhood trauma. Matt, who has an Italian mom and a black dad, told of an incident in high school when someone called his little sister names and he defended her. But you couldn't defend the mother of your kid? Okay. In response, the KKK vandalized his school. Let me get this straight. Because if 1 + 1 is 2, and 2 + 2 is 4. What the fuck is this? So he defended his little sister. The KKK knew enough about him to know what school he went to. So they vandalized the school that their tax dollars goes into. The white people are superior. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes okay. And I knew at that point, although I was very proud to be Italian and black, that the world looked at me as a black man. It took that. See, Matt, this is why you and your family get on my nerves. This is why y'all make my inner soul itch. Okay, it itch where I could drink a whole case of calamine lotion and it would still itch. You grew up in an interracial home, and nobody had no kind of conversations with you. No, nothing. You, Matt, what was you looking at in the mirror? And parents of biracial and multiracial children, you are doing them a disservice to try to act as if race doesn't exist. For you to skate around not teaching them their history. For you to skate around having the hard conversations, especially the parent that is melanated. Preventing people from having those conversations. Having the conversations that your parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles had with you. It took the KKK coming after you for you to realize you was black. Who were your friends in high school? Who were your friends in school, Matt? House must not have had electricity. It must have been brimming with funhouse mirrors because them couldn't have been regular mirrors. Couldn't have been. He spoke about his relationship with his stepsons, telling them, I'm just an extra layer of support and protection. I'm not there to replace your dad. It was very much how I felt in my relationship with Ella and Cole. Matt, what? Why are you talking about you got kids? Why the focus on the step kid? You got kids. You know. You okay, all right. Okay, I guess for the sake of the book, for the sake of conversation, we just gonna act like he just a step parent. Yep, we just gonna okay. Mm, okay. Hmm. I said that the particular blessing I had was a close and respectful relationship with Kirsten, their mother. Matt made a face and indicated he had more work to do there. You're giving me a hot flash. You will, cause you got kids. The relationship with the other, with your current ex, ain't the relationship you should be working. Bet you did get a hot flash. Did the devil reach up and touch your ankle? Matt, one day you're going to be sitting in a nursing home after everybody done stole your money and ran off, wondering why everybody is no contact or low contact with you. Good thing there's the interwebs, because I'll come visit you and pull up all your shenanigans. Because, like, did you forget about the whole reality show when you was doing some dirt and it's all chronicled for all of it? You have, you know what? Okay. I don't know. She said that. Remember, she said I surround myself with the best of the best. They guide me in all the right directions. Right after that, everybody is confused, can't read the room, don't have no life experience. But everybody done experience racism, but they can't recognize racism now. Very few people know that they black. Lord. Jeez, I'm waiting for her to say that her and Doug had a conversation and Doug asked her if he was a black man at this point in this book. Lord. She's trying to paint too many people in a good light, and I guess it worked for some people. That that's so endearing. Oh, it's such a beautiful story. The growth, the community, the bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit. This is why I side eye people that act like their lives are so rosy and so perfect, but then sprinkle in, well, I did go through this and I did go through that. But I don't let that hold me down. Can't nobody hold me down. Girl, we all got shackles on our feet. We just choose to dance with them shackles. Like, let's be real. You have to work at that, I told him. I'd learned that modeling healthy emotional relationships for our kids is as important as anything else we do for them, like helping with homework or teaching them to drive. It's such a piece of business that we don't think about nearly enough. We will be teaching them one way or another in what they observe of the emotional relationships we have. Translation. Kirsten didn't give a damn about Doug. Wasn't nobody playing no games. When they divorced, they truly divorced. And Kirsten was like, I know a lot of people get resentful, and if we don't get along, you can take that out on my kids. And unless you want to be placing your breakfast order with Jesus in the morning, we're going to get along and we're going to make it do what it do. I need people to stop making things out to be more complex than what it is. A lot of people have very functioning relationships and they have blended families. You don't realize that because the information that gets shared the most is the salacious information. You don't remember the heartfelt moments from reality TV or from what happened in high school. You remember the drama because it sticks with you, because it drives your pressure up. It excites you. It kicks off some endorphins. But ain't no way you as the new woman in his life at that time, you were like, hey, Kirsten, let's have a good... Because you would have felt like you were coming off insecure. And you do too much self-reflection and wanting to look like perfect Patty for me to believe that bullshit. Kirsten just didn't want to have to whoop your ass. As the three of us shared anecdotes from our lives, there was so much warmth and recognition. There was a light banter in the conversation, the kind only possible between people who see each other, know each other, and can speak in a kind of shorthand, but finished on a serious note. You are the first black woman to make it as far as you did on the race to POTUS Mountain. Their primary financial source is their podcast. Whether they agreed with you or not, they could pull in women viewers, open the door for more female athletes to show up, and they could get praised, whether they believed it or not, whether they voted for you or not, as standing on the right side of history. Stop acting as if people are warming up to you and building friendships when they're on the clock, when they're just doing their job. People are beginning too much to sound like, while joking about, the people who think that, oh, the waitress was nice to me. She want my number. Oh, the stripper, she want to be my girl. Sometimes as you're giving advice, you need to get up and go look in the mirror and give the same advice to yourself. Just to be safe. Stack had been friends with fellow Texan George Floyd for years, ever since a mutual friend had pointed out how alike they looked. When they met in person, the first question each asked the other was, "Who your daddy?" The other difference between them, Stack said, was that he had opportunities that George Floyd just did not get. I said it was a failure of the system to point to the exceptions like Stack, who managed to transcend their experiences as if that was an indication that there was some kind of level playing field. What about the kid who doesn't have remarkable talent? That is not a system that is going to be productive for the greatest number of people. The system is not working if only the exceptional people are able to succeed. And here's the thing, it's not just exceptional people that are able to succeed. I want you to think about how many mediocre non-black people have been able to achieve success, not just in sports, not just in entertainment. We learned yesterday that J.D. Vance, well, if you watch my podcast, J.D. Vance has been handed every big boy job he's ever had in his life. This is why he basically has no work ethic. Well, except for tonight. He's filling in for Charlie Kirk, and he wants to embody Charlie's essence and do it just like Charlie did. The Vice President of the United States, in this day and time, with what's going on right now, is taking a side gig from Turning Point USA. The murder of Floyd had turned Stack into an activist. He became a powerful voice seeking justice, but also for seeking it by peaceful means. When Minneapolis burned, he called for restraint. Rioting, he said, was not the answer. I never stood for that, and Floyd didn't stand for that. Kamala, choice of words means everything. Minneapolis didn't burn, and the people that were behind that were said to be cops and white supremacists, found and confirmed that to be true. Word choice means everything. And Stack, I love you. Much respect. But here's the thing. How are you a melanated person living in the United States and it takes somebody you know dying for you to finally stand up for justice and your rights? It's giving 1980s celebrities, where they didn't want to speak about a cause or donate to a cause until it affected them or their children. This is why I will forever respect Norman Julius Esiason. You know him professionally as Boomer Esiason. He's always stood and raised money and donated for children's health. And then he had a child that was born with a chronic health condition. But he didn't wait for that child to be born to advocate for children. George Floyd's daughter is only 11 years old. Stack has become close to her and spoke movingly of how they've held each other up after her father's murder. Why are we relying on children to hold us up? Can we stop doing that shit? It is not endearing. It is not a sweet swoon moment. And stop getting all melty hearted when people say that shit. That is not helping that child whatsoever. Get a therapist. Go to your pastor, your rabbi, the local crackhead if you need to. A lot of days when I didn't know what I was doing, just hearing her call me uncle and, just telling me she loved me, those days picked me up a lot. She is definitely a special child. She's fatherless because of a murderer. As we wound up the recording and took off our mics, Matt, 6'7", and Stack, 6'8", unfolded their lanky frames from the formal chairs of the sitting room. Yeah, because two podcasters, we need to make this formal. This is part of the reason why a lot of the shit you did, Kamala, it wasn't believable. Adapt, adjust. No time do they shoot their podcast formally. As I stood between them for a photograph, I knew this disparity in our heights would be noticeable, to say the least. That was your focus? Once again, come here, Kamala. I just want to give you a hug. I just want to. I'm not going to denozo you. Just come here. I just want to give you a hug. Come here. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. But I was proud to stand with two giants of the court who were unafraid to speak openly of hurt and trauma, healing, and love. Except for the hurt, trauma, non-healing, and minimal love that Matt Barnes said. Okay, you know what? Okay. I'm gonna deal with my one-sided beef against Matt Barnes. Okay, we're going to put a pin in it. Tomorrow we will pick up. We will be back to 6:30 tonight. I had class. We'll pick up tomorrow on page 187 on September 25th. As always, if you miss any parts of tonight's live or any other parts of the book, you can view it on YouTube. Link is in my bio, or you can go directly to my YouTube page, and there's a whole playlist, 107 Days by Kamala Harris. In just a few minutes, I will be going live for Chaos Chat with Chaos King Reloaded. Most welcome, Nightbird. To talk about, I don't know what we're talking about tonight. I don't know. I am fueled by Hope, Dream, and Mountain Dew currently. But as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Go out and get into some good trouble. But remember, nothing that requires bail in this economy, and most importantly, it only requires bail if you get caught.